As I think you know, one of my great inspirations is the page-a-day Zen calendar, which I often quote. And yesterday's was a reminder, was an excerpt from a very famous and important Zen story. It's actually a koan as well. And it's such a good story, such an important story, that it's worthwhile going back and revisiting from time to time. So that's what I'd like to do today. I can still remember when Sensei, now Roshi, Janet Abels commented on it at Stillmind when I was sitting with them back in the 90s, so it kind of stays with you. So it's the story of Huineng. Huineng is the sixth patriarch of China. So whenever you hear people speak about the sixth patriarch, and they do, that's the one they're speaking about. Sixth patriarch, he's the 33rd patriarch from the Buddha, but the sixth in China. You remember Bodhidharma in the 6th century was the first one to move from India to China, 28th, and then I believe, and then the sixth patriarch is Huineng. So the story is quite good. Huineng lost his father young and was poor and illiterate, and sold firewood to support him and his mother. And one day, as he was delivering firewood, he heard someone reciting the Diamond Sutra. So the story is that he went to a monastery, and the abbot questioned him and saw that there was something there. So he put him, in the kitchen, doing the menial jobs, and it came to pass that the master was coming to pass. That is to say, it was time for him to hand on the Dharma, make a Dharma transmission to his successor. The head monk, one of the main monks, was looking at that, eyeing that, and he had a contest. He had a contest who was going to write a poem that would illustrate their enlightenment, and the winner get it. So it's a very famous story, and some of you may know it already. So the head monk wrote the following verse. The body is a Bodhi tree, and the mind a mirror bright. Wipe it carefully day by day, and let no dust alight. So it's kind of like we just heard from the Diamond Sutra. Don't cling to anything in the mind. It's just to be kind of a pure reflection of reality. Whatever comes along and appears in the mirror, you show back, but you don't cling to it. Right? So the mind, we should just be pure receptivity, without clinging or refusing or judging or categorizing. We just let the reflection, like the pure mirror of reality, an image which often comes up in Buddhism, pure mirror-like awareness, as the phrase goes in the Buddhist tradition. So that sounds pretty good, right? And wipe it carefully day by day, let no dust alight. Don't let anything get in the way, greed, hatred, ignorance, anything else that would cause obfuscation or clouding of the mirror. So, not bad, right? Well, Huineng had other impressions. He wrote, in Bodhi, that is an enlightenment, in Bodhi there is no tree. Remember the first line, the body is a Bodhi tree? He says, in Bodhi there is no tree. Nor is there a mirror bright. In reality, there is no thing. Where can the dust alight? recognize that he saw more deeply. Okay, now, let's look at that. This is not nihilism, you know this. It's really just saying that you're reifying something. You're putting categories on things. You're like the mind, there's a mirror, and there's dust, and there's the body. So, what Hoineng is saying is that there's no thing, no substantial thing, nothing that you can hold on to or point to. That's just reality here and now. Let me call it pure energy if you like. It's let's look at it this way. This is my idea. Remember when the Buddha held up a flower, Kasyapa, and he was passing on, making Dharma transmission of his own, the Buddha himself, and his final sermon was just remember holding up a flower. Okay, now on one level, you can say, well, if you're the pure mirror, then you're reflecting that flower, and that's great. Except you are imagining that you're a mirror reflecting something else. So it's more like when you say the flower, or like the other koan, the oak tree in the garden. You are that. There's no you and there's no flower. It's like we saw a few weeks ago. Remember in the ox herding pictures when there's just the circle? There's no you and there's no absolute and there's no nothing. There's just totality of reality. You disappear. The absolute disappears. It's the same kind of idea. There's no thing. Not you, not it, not some absolute, which is something you're imagining. It's just, wow, this experience right now, which is connected to everything. Of course it doesn't make any sense. Because if it made sense, then it would be a concept. And you would be thinking it. So. But that's why it's deeper than saying, well, we're a mirror. We have to wipe the dust off our mirror. On a certain level, that's true, right? I mean, it's not wrong, but it's not as deep. This is going to cause trouble, because here you had this kitchen illiterate monk who was going to get the Dharma transmission. And so the master escorted him at night to the dock and told him to go away, gave him the bowl and the robe, the signs of transmission, and said, you better get out of here. And, lie low for a while. I got to, keep peace here. So what happened was, there was a former general, not just some illiterate seller of firewood. There was a former general, mind you, who was a member of the community. And when they figured out that the master had given Dharma transmission to the Huineng, the general went after him. And a number of other monks too. A lot of them dropped out along the way, but finally, the general caught up with him, General Myo, in a mountain pass. And that's the beginning of Koan 23 in the Mamon Kan. And this is part of the story that was told in the calendar as well. So this is the koan. It's called Beyond Good and Evil. Huineng, Beyond Good and Evil. And here it is, in one version. So the sixth patriarch was chased by the monk Myo up to the mountain pass. And the patriarch, seeing Myo coming, laid the robe and the bowl that he'd received on a rock and said to him, "This robe represents faith. Is it to be fought for? Take it away." So it's not something you can fight for. It's not something. So he says, "Okay, take it." Myo tried to lift it, but could not. It was as solid and immovable as a mountain. some commentators take that as, as a mythic presentation of the fact that you can't move. That he actually tried and couldn't, like Excalibur, right? Like the rock, like he couldn't pull the sword out of the rock. Others, including Shibayama, the great Japanese 20th century commentator, take it as metaphorical, that he reached for it and then had this inner realization that you can't take it, you just can't take it. It's not the way it works. Either way, it threw him into a crisis, right? An inner turmoil. Hesitating and trembling, he ventured, I came for the teaching, not for the robe. I beg you to teach your servant. So Shibayama says he was kind of thrown into the great doubt, capital G, capital D, which is a phrase that Hakui, the Japanese master, uses. That his whole world was turned upside down and he was calling everything into question, who he was, the great general, who Huineng was, what Dharma was. He was in this state of poverty of spirit, complete emptiness, complete turmoil. So the patriarch said, don't think this is good, that is bad. Remember, beyond good and evil. At such a moment, where is your original face? So you see how this connects with the original thing. Don't alight on anything. Even to the point of, it's not saying good and evil don't exist, but it's saying don't label it so easily with your own egotistical categories. This is good, this is bad. Huineng shouldn't be the Dharma successor. I should be the Dharma successor. Somebody else should, all this is nonsense. It's just your stuff. Beyond all this. Who are you right now? What's your original face? It's like Joshu's. The way is don't pick and choose. That's all you have to do. Don't pick and choose, and you'll understand. Same idea. Don't put labels on things. Or don't say, this is good for me, this is bad for me. Well, how do you know? And who are you saying this anyway? What's your original face right here and now? At this, Myo, all at once, was greatly awakened. His whole body was covered with sweat. With tears streaming down, he bowed and asked. All right, well, let's stop there. Covered with sweat, tears streaming down. Like a breakthrough in psychoanalysis, or a breakthrough in therapy, or a breakthrough in Zen, or a breakthrough in anything. It's a bodily experience. Very often you pour down tears. You're weeping uncontrollably, whatever tradition we're talking about. There's been a whole unleashing of something so profound that you just can't control it. Can't. It overflows, literally. It can be trembling, as we just heard, trembling, or sweat. This is the proof that it's real. I mean, some people laugh when this happens to them. But in any case, it overflows. Because it's not just in the head. Oh, what a nice idea that is. It makes me feel so nice. No. You're bouleversé, as they say in French. You're turned upside down. Your whole being and your whole mind's changed. Metanoia, change of mind, change of consciousness, change of being. So don't come to tell me that you've been enlightened until you're flooding the Daishan room with tears. Then maybe I'll believe you. So with tears streaming down, he bowed and asked, beside the secret words and the secret meaning, is there anything else? It's almost as if he can't believe it. He says, you mean this is it? What? I mean, there must be something secret. And the patriarch said, you've realized your true self. Anything deeper comes from your mind alone. Okay, here's where that good old translation thing comes in. I checked 4 or 5 different versions of this, and there are 2 main translations of this. One is, There's nothing secret. The greatest secret is in you, right in your own soul, your own self. Another translation says, there's nothing secret. If you look for something more, it's just your mind talking. It's in you and that's it, or it's in you and you're making it up. So there are different ways of translating the same. So that shows translation is sometimes an issue. But the truth is, whatever is true is in you. And you just realize it. It's your true self. No self! And no separation from anything. Including your own body. So Myo observed, when I was with the other monks, I didn't awaken to my true self. Now I've received your instruction. It's like a man drinking water for himself and knowing whether it is cold or warm. You're my teacher. So in other words, I'm drinking. This is like what Jesus said, come to me and I will give you water welling up to life eternal from within your own self. Like a well of water leaping up. That's when you really taste. Call it the Holy Spirit. It's like drinking water. Up to now we say, oh, I hear that there's water somewhere. That water must be really good. I'm thirsty. Now you actually drink the water. The scripture also says, drink the water from your own well. It says in the book of Proverbs. That's what's happening. It's right here in you. Father of the Church Origin commented on that, how the water's within us. It's exactly what Huineng is telling Myo. But the patriarch said, he's just been called his teacher. The patriarch very humbly says, we have, both have our master for our teacher, the one who gave Karma transmission to Huineng. Hold fast to the treasure you have. Ramon's comment is good. He says, the sixth patriarch would say this is a state of emergency, needing grandmotherly kindness. That's often a slide. It sounds like a critique, but it's actually praise. The master will also, oh, look at this master. He's handing it to him on a platter, like a grandmother serving a brownie. The truth is so clear. And how could you miss it? And that's, you'll see it is as though he peeled a fresh lychee, removed the stone, and then put it into your mouth for you. All you have to do is gulp it down. The lychee fruit, the white fruit. So that's a wonderful story. And we see what the commentators say. I also already mentioned that Shibayama pointed out the great doubt. And then he said, believe it or not, he went on to say, and he was so emptied out by, he was so ready for this. He said he was like those who hungered and thirst for justice. So Shibayama, who was a Japanese Zen monk, quotes Jesus, quotes the Beatitude, the fourth Beatitude. He says, blessed are they who hunger and thirst for justice. They shall be satisfied. He was so ready. He was so hungry, so thirsty, drinking that water and eating that lychee, that he received it. They shall be satisfied if you're empty enough and hungry enough. Great quote from the Zen master who quotes Jesus. And the particular Albert Lowe, the abbot of the Montreal Zen Center, whose version I'm using here, has a whole reflection on spiritual pride and envy and jealousy, because that's what's happening here in the community. They're all jealous of Huineng because he got it and they thought somebody else should have gotten it. This happens in communities all the time. It happens with, it's worst when it happens over something spiritual. Spiritual leaders can become so full of themselves. I'm the great enlightened spiritual teacher. Whether you're talking about a guru or a bishop or anybody, it can happen to anybody. And it's a real danger. Because the further you go in understanding and appreciating reality, you know that the water is there for everybody, and it's by pure gift that you've gotten whatever you've gotten, and you just let it pass through. You're just a channel. You don't own any of this stuff. Who are you anyway? You disappear. A poor man of no standing, of no repute, as they say about Zen teachers, Zen masters. Just a poor man of no standing. Or a poor man of no repute, had no beauty that we should look upon him, as it was said of Christ in Isaiah 53, as interpreted by Christians. So, I've known a number of book editors, and some of them have said that sometimes well-known spiritual writers are actually as nice as it sounds like they're talking about in their books. I believe Richard Rohr, for example. But they said sometimes they're not at all, which is sad. But it happens, so be very careful. As soon as somebody calls you teacher, run in the opposite direction. If they keep chasing you, well, ask God what he wants, or whatever. The only other reflection he had here, which is interesting, is he says, maybe Judas was envious of Jesus, and that's why he betrayed him. Never thought of it that way. But interesting reflection, again, from someone who's not a Christian. But it's good to show you how much trouble it can get you into. But luckily, General Myo learned his lesson by being opened up, wrenched open by circumstance, and the water was able to flow. And I hope that happens for all of us. So do you like the bedtime story? All right, let's sit for a minute or two before we say goodbye.